Hi. Today I just wanted to talk you through a simple series of techniques that are really good for indigestion, reflux, or a hiatal hernia, which are all sort of interrelated with each other. So what happens when you have a hiatal hernia, or if you start having some heartburn or indigestion, the stomach sort of gets crept up into the diaphragm and above the diaphragm and can cause some problems, or you're having some spasms in the sphincter where your esophagus meets your stomach. So these techniques are just to pull the stomach down out of the diaphragm, and then a quick little reset technique for the esophageal sphincter. So there are two parts that I usually do to pull the stomach down. So what you want to do is you want to find where your two sides of your rib cage come up, they meet. There's a bone there called your xiphoid process, where your bottom of your sternum. That's kind of a fragile bone, so you don't want to push right on it. It's real small. And besides that, your stomach lies a little bit to the left of that. So bring your fingers up to that notch where your ribs meet, and then slide a little bit down on that left side. So you're on the soft part of your stomach, but right underneath the rib cage on the left side. Then I suggest putting your hands back to back like this. I'm going to demonstrate in sitting so you can see the technique, but sometimes this is easier to do lying down or in a semi-reclined position because your abdominal muscles can relax more. So basically, you're going to put your fingers back to back. You're going to start by sinking your fingers back towards your spine. So slowly just let that sink back, sink back, sink back. And I usually give this a good 30 seconds, sometimes a minute, to really sink in there and get through all of the abdominal layers and through the nervous system kind of protective layers. If you push in hard or if you're forcing it, your body's going to force you back out. So slow, slow, slow. And at some point, between 30 seconds and a minute, you'll feel like, okay, I'm not really sinking anymore. I can feel that my stomach's right under my fingers. It's just a semi-firm feeling. And then part two is you're going to keep that depth and you're going to pull that stomach down towards your pelvis. When it stops pulling, when you don't go anymore, so you're not going to slide on the skin, you're actually gripping the stomach with the tissue with your fingers and pulling down. Usually what happens is you'll feel a little bit of a stretch up in towards the rib cage or around the heart, sometimes into the throat, because it's pulling that whole fascial system. And again, after about a minute to 3 minutes, sometimes even 5 minutes, I'll hold this. Eventually you'll start feeling like, oh, okay, I'm feeling something stretching or letting go a little bit. Or you'll hear some gurgling or feel gurgling underneath your fingers. That's a good indication that you're pulling that stomach down. It's releasing back into the abdominal cavity where it belongs. And then just relax your whole body as you're pulling down. Relax resistance. And just wait. So keep doing this technique as long as you need to. You might want to pause the video and do this for a good 5 minutes if you have some pretty severe heartburn or if it's actively giving you trouble right now. And then when you come out of it, you're going to first release that downward pressure. And you're slowly going to bring your fingers back out. So that's step one. Step two is a little bit more of a gross release. or bigger release. It's not quite as specific as that first one. So for this one, you're just going to put your palm of your hand right over your left rib cage. Your stomach is right there at the lower part of the ribs. And then put your other hand on top of it. And there's a ligament here that holds your stomach up that you're going to release. So you're just going to slowly compress, again, back towards your spine. So you're pressing the ribs in just very slightly. Doesn't have to be a real strong push. And again, this one, you don't have to hold it quite as long, maybe just 15 seconds or so, 30 seconds at the most. And then you'll pull the ribs down towards your hip, that direction. Okay, and then you can release. That one doesn't need to be held quite as long. Final step is you're going to feel for a little tender spot in the rib cage. It's pretty tender, so you'll find it pretty easily. And you're going to just take one finger, put it on that tender spot, and you're going to just do a little quick compression and wait. So compress, release, and just feel. So what we're doing is we're basically resetting the sphincter where the esophagus meets the stomach. So it's a press in, release, and then you'll feel, you may or may not feel, but there'll be a little bit of an energetic opening and closing over that sphincter. Good. So that's it. Okay, left side of the xiphoid process. Sink in, drop down, and then hands on the ribs, press in, drop down, and then the little press release. All right, hope that helps you. Talk to you soon.